I am so excited for this because I have been following this creator probably since the very beginning. In fact, we're going to chat now about how long we've both been on there. This is Dr. Karan Rajan, NHS surgeon, lecturer at Sunderland University, author and prolific content creator. With over 5 million followers on TikTok, his content has helped debunk health misinformation.
Brace yourselves, because these are the 5 worst TikTok health trends of 2022.
Shared groundbreaking news in medicine.
This is the biggest ever breakthrough for Alzheimer's. Lecanemab is the first drug to actually slow down the destruction of the brain.
And recounted some of the weirdest facts in existence about our bodies.
Fun fact, there are no laws against cannibalism per se in most places around the world. However, legally obtaining and consuming said human flesh is almost legally impossible.
Welcome to Off Platform, the podcast where we find out how content creators create and why. I'm Sophia Smith-Gaylor, journalist, author and content creator, and this episode was made possible with my fellowship at Brown University's Information Futures Lab. I mean, you seem to do everything, apart from also being a doctor, as well as put out content on everything. So today, that's what I want to talk to you about. I want to find out how you do it on top of what must be an extremely challenging job. So before I carry on, can you maybe just give a bit of an idea of what it is that you do and all the different jobs that you do?
Yeah, so I wear quite a few hats.
You're wearing one
one now. Yeah, that's very stressful, very heavy on my head. But in terms of the different roles I do, obviously I'm a surgeon. That's my background. I've been training for many years. I spent more than half my life studying in medicine and then postgraduate training. So doctor, surgeon, specifically general surgery. And general surgery, for me, it encompasses so many things, which is why it attracted me to that position in the first place. Everything from bowel cancers to appendicitis to hernias to gallbladder issues to liver issues. So it encompasses a whole range of things, basically everything inside your abdomen and potentially pelvis. That's one of the jobs I do. And then in the last 3 or 4 years, another incidental career which popped up was making content, or quote unquote an influencer. Although I hate that word, I don't see myself as an influencer, more hopefully an educator. And I'm also a dog dad as well.
That's really important to add in there. So, I mean, you could have just stuck to surgery. When you say that content creation popped up as another thing, how?
A lot of people tend to think that when someone blows up online, it's an overnight success. Well, it was a very long night in that case, because I started my YouTube channel in 2012 when I was still a medical student. Okay, so we're talking over 10 years ago now. And I had a bit of time and I wanted to help medical students prepare for their exams better. Me and a couple of colleagues made some educational videos, how to do a blood pressure reading, how to do an abdominal examination, etc., etc. That gained a little bit of a cult following on YouTube, 20,000 followers or so. And I neglected that for many years. I got busy with medical school finals, being a junior doctor, etc. And I still loved educating. And then TikTok popped up. Or it came on my radar certainly early 2020, and I thought, interesting, let me, kind of get on this. And I still didn't make content. I was a consumer. And the story goes, I was on call. I was about to do an emergency laparotomy, which is a major abdominal surgery to cut someone in the middle of their tummy, open them up like a suitcase and see what's wrong with their intestines or anything else going on. My junior at the time, we were both waiting for the patient to be put to sleep by the anaesthetist. So we had a bit of downtime of 45 minutes or so just to get ourselves ready. And he saw me on TikTok and he said, hey, why don't you make a video? You're always on there. And I thought, okay, I don't really know what to do. He said, why don't you do some weird medical facts? And I did some weird medical facts. Did you know that, your stomach acid can dissolve razor blades and so on and so forth? And he said, I don't believe you, but put all those things on there. We put it on there. Did the surgery, scrubbed out. About 3 hours later, he said, check your phone. And it was blowing up with all these messages and likes. And I kept doing that. That was my first series on TikTok, Weird Medical Facts. And then, here we are. And that's how it kind of all started. But it originally started 10 years ago with one thing. And I deviated and kind of more educate the public now rather than medical professionals.
when I speak to content creators, it's almost always a story like that. We think, especially with the age of TikTok and vertical video and people blowing up now, obviously people blew up on YouTube back when it was possible to do that. But they almost always had some grounding somewhere in either digital or storytelling. I love that you've described it as weird medical facts, because, I mean, that's still one of your most popular areas of content, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love to just hear an interesting, tidbit or something where, wow, okay, that's a nice icebreaker or little party fact that you can throw up to someone. It just fills you with knowledge and it piques a lot of curiosity. And I never say my videos are a closed loop where someone can learn everything about one thing. It's a diving board for someone to then go off and do their own research, to pique their curiosity, to pique their knowledge for something. And oh, that's an interesting fact about cannibalism. Let me go and read up about cannibalism. That's my aim, not to give them a complete university
Not to give
degree.
them a how-to guide to cannibalism.
Yeah, hopefully not.
How do you... Talk me through like the process of how you make this content. Is it all by yourself? Do you have a team of people around you to help make it happen? And talk me through the platforms that you're on now.
So in that order, the team is me, unfortunately, for a couple of reasons. I think one of that is my kind of surgical personality. Surgeons are often notoriously seen as lone wolves. They have a very hard time delegating and giving tasks to other people because they kind of want to do everything themselves. Unfortunately, that isn't sometimes always the best because I have a lot on my plate as it is, and I would love to delegate more things. But also with an expanding team comes costs as well, which I want to try and keep down. I don't think I can justify doing all of those things at the moment. And also I like looking at everything in minute detail. So editing, scripting, content curation, production, scripting and shooting, that's all me. Very briefly, for my longer YouTube videos, I had an editor, but he went off and made his own content, and he was a content creator himself. So we parted ways amicably, and on the hunt for a new editor to help with my YouTube, because that's my plan for this year. So I am on pretty much every platform. I'm on TikTok, obviously. I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, newsletter, if that's a platform, and also on Snapchat as well. I've learned over the years with trial and error that each platform, although there will be some commonalities between each platform in terms of what goes viral, a video that gets 50 million views on TikTok will likely do well on every other short platform. That's just the nature of, what people like to see. But there's also differences in that a video which got 1 million on TikTok may get 10 million views on Facebook or Instagram, or get next to no views. There's sometimes, quite glaring differences, but you have to understand some nuances between each platform, and you kind of get that with your own experience. There's no, one-size-fits-all rule for what works on Facebook, what works on Instagram, but it's almost for each creator. So I'm in the sort of health science space. I know that actually on Facebook, for example, it's an older demographic. If I look at my demographics on Facebook, I get peaks in the 30 plus, 40 plus, and even 60 plus. Okay. And those type of people might enjoy slightly more detailed videos which don't rely on clickbaity things or punchy words and titles, which might do well on TikTok or YouTube Shorts, for example. And they like some more almost basic down-to-earth things. So I can do a video talking about gallbladders and they'll be really interested because they might be suffering with gallbladder issues. But TikTok, you need to talk about gallbladders in a really clickbaity, fun way that has to relate to a younger audience. So there are nuances, and you grow and appreciate that more time spent on the platform.
And you reversion content, right? So like you described, it might be the same video going out on several platforms, but maybe edited in a slightly bespoke way.
I usually don't specifically edit them from each platform unless it's not doing well. For example, I never used to do this, but now I don't make videos on TikTok itself anymore. I don't use it using the in-app creation tools anymore. I make it on a camera, on a DSLR camera, so I can have high quality footage, which I can repurpose anywhere instead of downloading really grainy quality from TikTok that's super compressed. Have it on my camera. and I sometimes will use the native captions in TikTok for TikTok, and I'll use my own caption tool to make captions if I'm posting on Instagram and YouTube. But also on TikTok, more so than any other platform, those first couple of seconds where you hook someone in matters more than Reels or YouTube Shorts or anything. And I posted a video about the science and evolutionary advantage of bum hair, for example, okay? And it did really well on Instagram and YouTube Shorts, have over 1 million. But it didn't do well on TikTok when I first posted it. It got maybe 40,000 views. And I thought, that's really odd because I really believe in this video.
I really believe bum content can do very well on
and I've
TikTok.
proven that. And, I thought, I need to do something. And I just chopped 2 seconds out. So it kind of cuts to a really clickbaity thing. Instead of saying, because it was a stitch video of some guy saying, you know what I really don't understand? I thought in my head that doesn't work, because then the next thing he said after, you know what I really don't understand? Bum hair. So I just started with bum hair, and it got over 1 million views on TikTok as well after I reposted and re-edited it.
There's a part of that story that's really frustrating, isn't it? Do you ever get infuriated with the sort of whims of algorithms?
You do initially, but the longer you spend on a platform and the longer the time spent being a creator, there's a couple of routes you can go down. One route is this audience capture route, where you play to your audience, you play to trends, you play to what you think will make you go viral. That may not necessarily align with your own ethos on what you enjoy doing. For example, you could make silly trending dancing videos and accumulate millions of views and millions of followers, but then your audience are following you based on those things that you've done, dancing and singing and whatever else. But actually, you might really enjoy making ASMR content, and you can't do that because your ASMR content doesn't get the views that your singing and dancing does. So you are entranced by your audience to do that certain thing. You've been captured by the audience and by the algorithm to do that. The other route you can go down, and that leads to early burnouts and disillusionment with the platforms, because you're thinking, I can't really do what I want. It's like in your career, if you're stuck in a job you don't enjoy, why are you doing it? So that's unfulfilling. That's number one. The other route you can go down is, no matter what the algorithm throws at you, the peaks and troughs, you just keep doing what you want. And, like I do, maybe make slight adjustments here and there to try and optimize as much as you can, the video you do, but you have to know that as much as you optimize it, it just might not do well according to the algorithm. But that doesn't make it a bad video. There are excellent creators out there who are yet to be discovered because the algorithm, for whatever reason, doesn't push their content. And they may never blow up and still have excellent content, but that's just the way it goes.
What are some of your most viral videos? And are they also the videos you're proudest of?
There are a few viral videos that I'm proud of. I'm always proud of all of my videos. I don't think I've ever done a video that I thought, you know what, I really hate that. I'm disgusted by it. The only times I say that is my really older videos where I was almost getting to grips with TikTok and being comfortable having my face out there. I sometimes cringe at that and my voice and things like that. But I'm not proud of those things. For example, a super viral video I got was something where it was during the peak COVID and peak COVID misinformation on TikTok, when people were getting these kind of drive-through vaccines and vaccinations. And a type of vaccine syringe that you can get is a retractable needle head. So, you deliver the injection, and once the dose is administered, the needle retracts back inside the syringe, and that's a protective measure to stop needle stick injuries. So to stop the healthcare worker getting the needle into their skin, or an accidental injury to the person receiving the dose of vaccine. It's just like a healthcare measure to reduce sharps injuries and things like that. They're more expensive, those kind of syringes, but to the misinformed anti-vaxxer, it looks like, oh, it's a fake syringe, or it's like not a real one. Oh, the needle's gone inside the person, that sort of thing. And I saw this video where someone had a drive-through COVID vaccine somewhere in South America or in America. And the person gave the vaccine and the needle disappeared. And someone said, oh my God. And there was really dark music and, it all sort of hyped up. And that got about 20 million views. I stitched that explaining and even demonstrated with a needle, hey, this is the needle, this is how it works. It's not. It's a safety mechanism, and let me assure you, you still received it, and you can actually see the needle in there, and I've used it before, blah, blah, blah. And that video got about 40 million views. So I was proud of that at least it's reached 40 million people. Now, I can't be arrogant enough to assume that 40 million people are going to take that on board, but even if 0.1% of 40 million people take it on board, that's a big number. And another couple of videos I've done was one was an illusion video talking about how your brain tricks you, and I explained the neuroscience of that. And another 50 million video was on body modification trends around the world. And I suspect that got a lot of views because the first 2 seconds had me and my dog when he was still a puppy, and he's beautiful, so it might have been that. But it was showing, the foot binding, the lotus feet in China, way back when, certain tribes in Southeast Asia where if someone passes away, they amputate one of their digits, and other sort of strange body modification trends around the world and body standards, which people are just interested in.
Something that I have to ask you about is your scripting.
Yeah.
Specifically, how I'm assuming you do this to try and avoid the content sometimes being suppressed on, let's say, a TikTok algorithm. I could be wrong. The puns and the synonyms and the double entendres that you come up with different body parts. Is that why?
It started off that way because I didn't want to say penis repeatedly. If I'm talking about penile fractures, I'll conceivably be having to say penis many times. And, if you did a count of that, it's about, 20 times. So it's more fun and keeps people more engaged if you say, pen 15 or something like that. Or, the floppy pork sword or soggy sausage or whatever, the purple-headed cyclops. And it was endless. And actually I found, initially I did it to, duck and dodge the algorithm and the AI censorship. Then I realized people enjoyed it. And it almost became like little Easter eggs within the video. Like, how many of these weird, words and pontifications can Dr. Karan come up with, and these little strange euphemisms? And it kept coming out like that. And it became almost like an in-joke. That you can do it for everything, from vaginas to penises to bums to sex to anything, and I loved it. And now I do it also to avoid censorship and the video being suppressed, but also I enjoy doing that now because it adds my own flavor. People come to expect that. And actually I had a recent video where I explained something semi-serious about vaginal steaming in women, and someone said, I'm disappointed there's only one pun there.
What was the pun?
I said, so vaginal steaming, you shouldn't be steaming your vagina because it doesn't help with endometriosis or period pains. And I explained how it can damage the labia and things like that, steam-related damage. And I said, I think the phrase was, your labia aren't a set of curtains that need to be steam cleaned. Or your vagina doesn't need a facial, and some sort of puns like that, and they were disappointed they weren't more. So
how do you monetize your content if you do?
I do monetize my content, but I would say I don't monetize it incredibly well, but some of that is down to my career and also personal preference. I often quote the example that I had about a year back, where I get approached a few times a week, several times a week, both in my junk box and main inbox, from several companies asking me to promote or endorse various things, dodgy things, sometimes okay, but it doesn't align with my philosophy or my brand. And one such example was two very large probiotic companies, both international probiotic companies, and you would definitely know them if I told you who they were, asked me to be their brand ambassador and make, I think the terms were something along the lines of, be our brand ambassador. You post some stories on Instagram and you post a couple of TikToks every month, and we give you, it was upwards of 10,000, which is more than my NHS salary. And it's a very nice offer, and I'm sure a lot of people would take that up. But I've made several videos, including a very long deep dive YouTube video explaining how probiotics are more hype than health. And there's only a very narrow category of people with specific conditions that it may help. Medical grade probiotics, not your standard probiotics you can, pick up from your supermarket. They do next to nothing. It's like pissing in the wind. And so I said no. I just ignored it. I didn't say no. I just ignored those emails. And again, similarly, I'll get lots of offers like this, and I can't because I'm an NHS doctor, and I find that I'm in a position of power and authority, in the sense that because I'm an NHS doctor and provide all this knowledge, a lot of people follow me because I debunk stuff, I demyth stuff, and I'm seen almost this beacon of truth. And no, okay, if Dr. Karan says that's true, then I'm going to do it. If he says it's rubbish, then it's rubbish. For better or for worse, I'm in that position sometimes. So if I hawk something that isn't true just to line my pockets, I'm doing a disservice to all those people who follow me, and maybe people who just watch my content and don't follow me. So